各位朋友们好。
Hello, friends.
今天咱们讲
Hello,
一
Master.
个人类当今属于发病造
Today
成
we'll
死
talk
亡
about
的
the biggest
最大
killer
的一个杀手克
causing
星
death in humans today.
这样的一种疾病
This deadly enemy
就是心脑血
is a
管
type of disease
据
related to
资料统计
cardiovascular
来说呢
and
大
cerebrovascular
概有
issues.
因疾病死亡去世的人数当中
According to statistics, about
1/3
1/3 of
的比例
all deaths caused by
就是关于
diseases are
心脑
due
血
to
管
these conditions.
每一年大约全
It's
球
about cardiovascular
有
and
1700 万
cerebrovascular
人
diseases, and
因
every
这个
year,
疾病死亡
approximately 17 million
厉害了
people worldwide die
它
from
的
this
这个
disease.
死亡的
It
比
is
例
quite
数量
severe.
远远超过癌症，
The mortality rates from this
所以相对癌
disease
症
is
就不
far
算
exceed
啥。
that of cancer.
就是每5-6个人当中
So
就
compared
可
to
能有
cancer,
1到2个
it's
人
not even a
可
big
能会
deal.
产生这个疾病，
Among every
病倒或
5
者
or
是
6 people,
离开人
1
世。
or 2 develop
很
this
恐怖。
disease, fall ill,
它这
or
种疾
even
病的
pass
这
away.
个发病特
It's
点不
terrible.
明显，
The onset
很难被
characteristic of
发
this
现。
disease are not
但是呢，
obvious.
一来
It
了
is
就可
very
能来得
difficult to
猛，
detect, but once it strikes, it
这
can
个
come
疾
on
病有点
suddenly
像个
and
鬼
severely.
魅一样
So
就
this
是
disease
无
is
形
somewhat
的，
like a
没太
ghost.
多的感受，
It's invisible
说来就
with
来。
few symptoms and can
我在
appear
看有
out
些
of
人突然
nowhere.
在那讲演这
I've
个
seen some
像
people
打
suddenly collapse
正
during
在
a
走路
speech.
买菜的途中
They just fall
立
down,
刻跌倒。
or while
走
walking
了
to buy groceries, they
很
suddenly
恐怖。
collapse and pass away. It's
这类疾病
terrifying.
呢还有一个潜在的大风险
This
呢，
type of
说
disease
如
also
果一
carries a
旦有
hidden
了这个
major
病，
risk.
就
They
算
say
是
that
所谓给
once
治
you
好
have
了，
this disease,
那麻烦又来
even
了，
if it's
就是
supposedly
不可
cured,
能完全好。
the trouble
这
isn't
个时候它
over.
很难除根儿，
It can
所
never
以
be
一旦
completely
得过一
gone.
次，
At
那
this
在
point,
接下
it's
来的
very
时间之
difficult
中，
to
就
eradicate
是随时随
completely.
地
So
有可能会
once
出
you've
现
had it
第二次
once,
和第三次，
in the time that follows,
并且
at
这
any
种复
time and
发性，
anywhere,
也
a
就是再
second
次得这
or
个病
even
的
a
几
third
率
occurrence
占
may
了
happen.
大约有1半。
And these occurrences refer to the
所以
likelihood
我也
of
是遇
getting
到
the
一些
illness
这样的
again.
病人患者，
It
就是有
accounts
的
for
是
about
第
half.
2次
So I've also
和第
encountered
3
some
次
patients
中
like
风
this.
之类的。
Some of them are
这
having
类
a
疾病
second
得
stroke
病的
or
原
even a
因呢
third stroke.
有
The causes
多
of
样
these
性的。
diseases are
那么
diverse.
首先第一个
First
呢，
of all,
就可
it
能
could
是
be
来自于
hereditary.
家族遗传。如果上
If
代
the
人
previous
父母
generations, the
爷爷
parents,
奶奶那一辈
grandparents,
的
or
人
that
当中，
generations
如果有类
had
似的疾
similar
病，
diseases,
这有
this
可
could
能
possibly
会在
happen
你
to you
身上
again.
就再次发生。那么还有一个问题，
So now there is another
就是
question,
说你的有
which is
印
in your
象记
memories
忆
and
当中，
impressions,
长辈没
your
有这个
elders
疾
did
病，
not have the
但是也
disease.
可能
However,
会随着你
as you
的年
age,
龄的老
the
化，
disease may also
这个疾
develop
病也可能会产生
because
出来。
your entire body's
因为你的
overall functional
整个身体的
decline
综
can
合
cause
的
such
这
problems.
种功能退化而造成的这类问题。再一个成为这个
Another
疾病的
important
一个
factor
重要的因
contributing
素
to
呢，
this
就
disease
是咱们当
is
今的
just
这
that our
个生
current
活方式
lifestyles
转
has
变
changed.
因为现在
Because
人的
nowadays,
这
a
个
large
有
proportions of
很
people,
大一个比例，
that is to say,
也就是说
with the
随着这
advent of
个
machineries
机械
and
还
electricities,
有电这些科技工具的这个产生，甚至是
and these
很多是叫做脑力工
technological
作者，
tools,
比如说会计
many
师
are even what we call
一
knowledge
些政
workers,
府办公人员还有这个律师
such as accountants, some
教
government
师
office
等
staff,
等很多
as well
行业，
as
它
lawyers,
几乎没
teachers,
有
and
什
many
么
other
这
professions.
个体育运
They
动、肢体
hardly
劳
have
动的这
any
个机会，
opportunities for physical exercise
使得呢他
or
吃这
mutual
个
labor.
这种饭呢，
As a
就不管
result,
吃什
when
么
they
饭
eat this kind of food,
吃什么样的饭
let's not
呢，
worry
它
about what
就
kind of
没有
food to
充
eat.
分的把它消化，
It just
或者
hasn't
是
been
最后
fully
再排出来。
digested,
就是
or
比
it
如
gets
说
expelled
它
later
的营
on.
养成分应该
For
吸收
example,
1%，
it could absorb about
但是呢，
1% of the
因为你
nutrients.
的运动量不够，
But because your
劳动
levels
力
of
不够，
physical activities is
这样它可能
insufficient,
吸收了
your labor is
10%，
lacking.
哎，
It might also
你这
absorb
个
as
血
much
管
as
呐，还有
10%
肉体当中
in
有
your
积
blood
存了
vessels and
大
body,
量的不
a
该
large
积存的东
amount
西。
of substances that
但是
shouldn't
在人
accumulate
类
have
整
built up.
个不知多少
But
万年以
throughout
来，
countless
你看人
millennium
类
of
有可
human
以
history, you
探
see,
索的一些工
humans have
具
some
制作的
tools
一些东
for
西比如陶瓷
explorations.
瓦罐之类的，可
They
能
have
追
made
溯到最
things
初
like
上万年，
ceramics,
对不对？
towels, and
现在倒
pot.
退50年前的时候， 1980年之前
These can possibly be traced back
整个全
to
世界
10,000 years, right?
多数的行业
Now,
当中
if you go back 20 years
多数的人
before
如果再
1980,
倒推到100
all
年的时候
around the world,
几乎
in most
99%
industries,
的人
most people,
都是
if you go
完
back
全
100
处在
years, almost
非
99% of
常辛
people
苦的
were
体力劳
completely
作者
engaged in very hard physical
最
labor,
辛苦的干活
working
你到
hard
这个
every
乡下
day.
农村
You
跟
should
农
try
民
going
工
to
作
this
一
rural
天试一试
countryside
比
and
如
work
看
with
这
the
个土
farmers
地
for a
耕地
day.
就
For
拿这个铁
example,
锄头
watch
每
them
天
how
抡着
and
抡着
till
就
the
在大
land
太阳底下
using the iron's
或者
hoe,
风吹日
sweeping
晒
it every day
哎
under the
你的
blazing
体
sun or
能
exposed
第
to
一个体
wind.
能消耗这个我都尝
Your
试过
physical strength first.
如果
Your
在有
stamina
阳
gets
光下
strained. And I've
如
tried
果
all of
天
this
超过20
myself.
度
If
如果
it's
太热
under the
20
sunlight,
度的温
if
度
the temperature
你
exceeds
拿个
20
锄头
degrees, you don't
整
need
着锄
it
地
to be
除
very
草
hot,
砍
just
菜
around 20
2个
degrees.
小时下来
You take a hoe and
如果
start
没有
hoeing the
做过这个
ground,
劳动的人
weeding,
我的体
cutting
验是说
vegetables.
几乎叫做
After 2
精疲力
hours,
尽
if you haven't done
就
this kind
是
of
你
labor
的
before,
比如说你
my
是上午去
experience
做
is that you feel
你的
almost
早餐
completely
也吃的
exhausted.
很普通哈
For example,
但是这
if
2
you
个
go
小
to
时劳
work
作
in the
下来之
morning,
后
you have a very
你吃的
simple
东西
breakfast.
完全已经
But
消
after
化
these
光
2
光了
hours of labor, the
什么
food you
油
ate
脂啊
is
什么各种的
completely
营养啊也
digested.
估计随着
All
都
the
跑了
fats and
根
various
本就不够
nutrients are gone. It's estimated
甚至
that
你早
once
晨吃了
they
一大
all
碗
run
肉
off,
食都没有
it
关系
simply
这
won't
一
be
会儿
enough.
2个小
Even
时
if
下
you
来之
had
后
big bowl of meat
分
for
文不剩
breakfast,
就
it
消
wouldn't
化得
matter
光光的
anymore. After just a couple of
可
hours,
是
every penny
在
is
当代
gone,
呢
completely
你不
digested.
管吃的啥就是吃了一点青菜吃了一点酸
But
奶
nowadays, no
啊
matter
喝
what
了
you
一点
eat,
什么
even
麦
if it's
片
just a little bit of
那就
vegetables,
坐
a
在
bit
那
of
儿
yogurt,
这个
or
医生
some
最懂得
cereal,
了
you just
你
sit
的
there.
胃
And
肠
this
内
doctor
脏
understands the
你的
best.
身体就
Your
坐那儿不
stomach,
动
intestines, and internal
这
organs.
些食
Your
物
body
能
just
消
sit
化
there
得了吗
motionless.
我
Can this
相信
food
消
be
化不了
properly digested?
这还得想方设法去消
I
化
believe they
你今
cannot be
天还得花的
digested.
钱你到
So you
健身
have
上
to
健身
find
房
ways
做
to
运动
digest them.
花钱去
Today, even
消
you
化
have
食
to
物
spend some money to
这
go
叫
to the
减
gym
肥
and exercise.
你这个莫
Spending
名
money
的
to
增
digest
加的
food
脂肪
is
就
cause
是因为
losing
你
weight.
的这个
The
劳作的
unexplained
体
increase in
力
your
消耗不
fat
够
is because your physical
所以把很
activities
多
and
食物的
energy
营养
expenditures
变
are
成了你的脂肪
insufficient. So a lot
变
of the
成肥胖
nutrients from the food turn into your body
苦
fats,
苦劳作的农
and
民
that leads to
没有一个
obesity.
胖
Hardworking farmers are
再一
never
种呢就现
overweight.
在不分
Another
你是在一个什么
situation
年代
is
除了
nowadays,
退休
no
生
matter
活
what era you live
过
in,
去如果有点
except
体
for
力劳动的
retirement
工人
life,
或农民
in the
今天
past,
你退休
workers
了
or farmers
不做
who
事
did
了
some physical
腿
labors.
脚和大脑反
Today,
应本
after
来
you
就已经
retire
退
and
化
stop working,
和很缓
your
慢
legs and brain
还有呢就
reactions
是我
have
的
already
如果走路腿
deteriorated
痛
and slowed
腿痛
down.
我就懒得走所以
Also,
很多
if my
这个
legs
腿
hurt when I
部
walk, I just don't
有
feel
这个
like
疼
walking.
痛或者腿部有
So
残疾
many
的人
people with
很
leg
容易
pains or leg
变成
disabilities
胖的人
tend to become
因为他越
overweight
痛越
easily
懒得走
because the
走
more
又
it
不方
hurts,
便
the less they
哎
want to walk.
就吃了又身体
And
动
walking
作
is
很少你消化
inconvenient.
不了
They
就是
eat
整个身
but
体养
move
成
very
胖的
little, so their bodies
所以
can't
说现
digest
在呢
properly.
大家
This
这种
causes whole body to become
生活
overweight.
工作饮
So
食的
now
方式
everyone's
就
lifestyle,
容易
work,
形成
and
了
eating habits
现代
is easily lead to
这
more
个
than
综合的
complex
中风和心脑血
strokes
管的疾病
and cardiovascular
并且呢
diseases.
这个疾病的
Moreover,
有一个趋
there's
势
a trend
是
of
越来
these
越年轻
diseases
化
affecting younger
还有
people.
呢就是如
Also,
果你就是
if
吃
you are
素的话
vegetarian, it doesn't
也不一
necessarily
定
prevent the occurrence
免
of
得了
these
这个疾病
diseases.
的发生这
Within
个素食
vegetarian
之中
diets,
一样有
there are
很
still
多
many high
高脂
fat,
肪高热
high
量的
calories foods.
就是不太懂
If
得
one
比
doesn't
较科
understand
学
the
的
more scientific
吃
methods
素的
of
这
eating
个方法的
vegetarians,
话
then
一样是
the
造
same
成
issue
这个
causes
心脑血
problems
管
in the
的问
heart
题
and brain's blood vessels.
师傅讲的这个心脑血管的
Master
这个
spoke
不变
about the
性哈
prevalence of
它的严重的
cardiovascular
这
and
个危害性
cerebrovascular
哈确实是
diseases,
非常大，可
and
能
also
感觉我
about
们
their
每一
severe
家
harmful
好
effects.
像家里可能都有亲人
Indeed, they are
是
very
这个问
significant.
题或者
It
是属于
seems
这
that
个
in
疾
every
病的
family, there's likely
那
a
包括一
relative
些
who has a
世界上的
problem
名
or is
人
died
虽然
from
他
this
们有非
disease.
常好的医疗的条
This
件
includes
啊
some
最
famous
好的
people
保健医
around the
生
world.
你看我举几
Even
个
though
例
they
子
have
吧，
excellent
比如
medical
说这
care
个美国的
and the best
以
health
前一位
doctors.
总统哈，富兰
Let
克
me
林
give
罗
you a
斯
few
福，他
examples.
就是死于
For
中风，
instance,
才
a
63
former
岁。
president of the
那
United
像苏
States,
联的这个斯大
Franklin
林，我们
Roosevelt,
都很
he
知道
died
的，
of a stroke
也
at the
是
age of
死于这个
63.
脑溢血，也是
Then
一种
there's
中风
Stalin
啊
from the
啊。
Soviet
那
Union,
么
whom we all know well. He also died of a cerebral hemorrhage, which is a type of stroke. As for the British Prime Minister Churchill, he was quite elderly, but he also suffered a sudden stroke in the end. Yes, look at these three giants. During World War II, they defeated all their enemies, but what they couldn't overcome was cardiovascular disease. It really sounds a bit unfortunate. Yes, and they were world-class celebrities. Logically, their living conditions, including the medical care they received, the facilities and services should have been the best. But they still can't avoid it. Yes, exactly. So up to this point, we believe everyone is also very much aware of the seriousness of this issue. Previously, during our live stream, Master also taught us some basic knowledge about physiognomy, including how to observe a certain facial features to tell whether you have the high risk of cardiovascular disease. This danger, we have a single 1-minute test. Now the poster will be displayed on the screen. Viewers, you are welcome to scan the QR code to take the test and see you have any risk factors. Yes, the key is early awareness and prevention. Once the disease develops, it might be too late to regret. So, with that said, we also conducted some research and found that there is a region in the world where the people have a generally low incidence of cardiovascular and cerebrovascular disease. The rate is notable low. Where is this place? It is the Mediterranean regions. Europe, for example, southern Italy, France, Spain, Portugal, Greece, and Cyprus. Mainly this area. I see. So why is it that there's... Yes, it's a very good question. So some scientists conducted research on it. Indeed, there was an American nutritionist named Ansel Keys. In the 1950s, he went to investigate near Italy and Greece. He discovered and found it very strange. He said that the people in this area lived and ate a lot of oil every day. It's the local oil produced over there. And they also eat bread. Bread is a carbohydrate that produces a lot of sugar. Plus, they dip the bread in that oil to eat it. You see, this combination of starch and oil is considered one of the unhealthiest combinations in Western health. But people there just eat like that. And it's not like they eat vegetarians. They also eat meat and drink alcohol. Yes, that's right. We actually went to Turkey and Greece last year. Their dietary habits are very similar to what the teachers described. And they eat like that every meal. However, the incidence of cardiovascular diseases is very low among them. That's why it's now called a paradox. It's a contradictory statement. The scientist also has similar perspective. He conducted research. Then he found, in this place, the people in the Mediterranean region, their dietary habits are actually very healthy, especially for cardiovascular health, as well as for brain and nerves-related issues. This question is very healthy. We need to listen to this carefully. Then he named this method the Mediterranean diet, because nowadays we also heard all kinds of scientific and healthy diets. You heard about things like the Atkins diet, right? Yes, the one where you only eat meat and no vegetables. There's also the ketogenic diet, fasting, and many others. And also the kind that drinks juice every day. Yes, all kinds. But in terms of scientific evaluations, the Mediterranean diet is still the healthiest. So today, we really need to learn about it together. Sure, sounds good. Back in 1993, the World Health Organization, in one of its studies, collaborated with Harvard University to publish a studies. They focused on the traditional Mediterranean diet. It created something called the Mediterranean Diet Pyramids. This is a kind of discovery. It suggests that this way of eating is very healthy. Let's take a look at the structure of this pyramid diet. At the very bottom, there are whole grains, various whole grains, along with legumes and nuts. Moving up, you eat a large amount of vegetables and fruits. Going further up, that's the oil. The daily oil consumed with olive oil. We will discuss this in details later. Above here, there are some seafood combined with small amount of poultry. It includes chickens, as well as dairy products and eggs. This isn't all. So, the red meat they eat is very little. This includes beef, lamb, and pork. And there are also relatively few desserts. It is a pyramid-shaped structure. Regarding the Mediterranean diet, it is actually the world's oldest leading medical journal called the British Medical Journal. They conducted a large-scale 18-year-old long tracking his studies. It was an observational experiment involving many people. During that time, they surveyed 1.57 million individuals. Then, in 2008, they published the result of the studies. What they found was that if a person follows the Mediterranean diet, the one that the teachers just mentioned, the diet based on the pyramid method, the risk of death from cardiovascular disease is reduced by 9%. 9% is quite a significant proportion, quite high. And also Parkinson's disease as well as the incidence of Alzheimer's disease decreased by 13%. Yes, because of these two diseases, there are currently no effective medical treatment. So this kind of diet can lower the incidence rate. Right, it is not about just protecting the cardiovascular system. It's also quite beneficial for our brain. Yes, especially for the elderly, it helps to keep the brain active. Cognitive function, memories, and overall brain health. Also, Parkinson's disease is one of the neurological disorders that cause movement problems. I think this kind of diet seems to be very effective for brain health and disease prevention. Yes, exactly. Well, when you start to see that just a few brain-related symptoms, right? Yes, they have all decreased significantly. So if you eat regularly, could it actually serve as a form of prevention? Yes, definitely. You can perform as a prevention if you eat regularly. So the scientific study that mentioned earlier shows significant reductions in incidence rate. And even for people who have this kind of disease, if they follow this diet, it can slow down the progression of the disease. Because of this disease is all brain-related. Besides, there are more studies proving that in addition to these benefits, it can also reduce the incidence of diabetes, which is also very challenging issues nowadays. You know the three high blood pressure, high blood sugar, and high cholesterol. Diabetes is also a major concern. High blood sugar is a big issue too. This is also very important. Additionally, it can help to reduce anxiety. These effects on the nervous systems make people feel happier. It improves mood. Yes, see how good it is? There are quite a few benefits. It even lowers the incidence of cancer. That's right, it reduces cancer risk. So I think I will focus on this idea of brain health. Actually, there are many issues related to the brain health in middle-aged and elderly people. One of them is cognitive decline.
世界卫生组织就推荐地中海饮食是预防心脑血管病和糖尿病的最佳饮食。
So, this dietary approach can reduce incidence of Alzheimer's decrease by 13%, which is quite significant. That's really great. So, because it's effective, back in 2003, the World Health Organization recommended the Mediterranean diet as the best diet for preventing cardiovascular and cerebrovascular diseases as well as diabetes. It is also the best comprehensive diet for cardiovascular and cerebrovascular disease and diabetes. We are talking about the three highs, right? Because we see that people with diabetes live in great pain. They can't eat this or that, especially when it comes to food and drink, which is very painful. The biggest harm caused by its complications is blindness and even loss of limbs, amputations, yes, and loss of sensations, various kinds of sensations. Life becomes extremely inconvenient, so the Mediterranean diet is definitely something worth recommending and studying. And in 2010, UNESCO also listed the Mediterranean diet as an intangible cultural heritage. This is great news, truly. I think it's very necessary. I mean that organizations around the world as well as scientists highly recognize and recommend it. I remember Xiangke said he was the first to discover it. The American professor of the Mediterranean diet, right? He lived to be 100 years old. He himself was exceptionally long-lived. He's the one who discovered the Mediterranean diet, and that's Dr. Ansel Keys. In 1972, when he was 68 years old, he retired from the American universities. Then his whole family moved to Italy. In the Mediterranean region, they began living using the Mediterranean diet and lifestyle. After he retired, he lived for another 32 years. He lived all the way to 100 years old. He truly was a witness. He was a living testament. This is really wonderful. He discovered this treasure. Then he applied what he learned. As a result, he also lived a long life. Besides him, let's take a look at Europe. The countries with the longest lifespan, all of them are around Mediterranean. So they live according to the diets. These countries live this way. For example, Monaco, a tiny nation with only 10,000 people, and the surrounding southern part of France, Italy, Spain, Malta, Cyprus, all lies in these regions, enjoying the Mediterranean diet. So these are the people of these countries. The longevity here has surpassed that of other countries. This statistical data is quite convincing. Monaco is small, yet these people live so long. Yes, they eat very well. That's definitely possible. So it's definitely worth studying. This Mediterranean diet, to see its characteristic, and also to see how we can apply it to our daily life. Let's talk about the characteristic of the Mediterranean diet. It actually has 4 main features. The first includes lots of vegetables. The second is that it uses high-quality oil. We'll discuss this shortly. The oil is actually quite crucial. The third is includes a lot of whole grains. And the fourth point is that they eating rhythm, the overall pace of life, which is relatively slow. They are happier and place great importance on socializing. We'll talk about this gradually. The master has been to the Mediterranean region, right? Yes, I also observed the local there. They are eating, socializing, and other daily life scenes. We're very eager to hear about it. Yes, I was quite puzzled when I saw it. I said the people in this region, first of all, they can't live without alcohol and meat. Yes, they still drink and eat meat. When it comes to healthy eating, I believe all the experts and professors who excludes both meat and alcohol. That's right, isn't it? But these people from this place can't live without meat. I wonder how their health issues are. It was quite confusing at the time. Another issue is that he really pays a lot of attention to oil. Yes, the people told me about the oil. They are almost in a stage of worship for it. It's amazing, right? Some elderly gentlemen even bring a small bottle to take a few sips of the oil. So if you come to China, many older men take a few sips of liquor, but he takes a few sips of oil. This is unbelievable, right? From the perspective of healthy eating, you consume oil. This is originally the case. Oil is actually quite a scary thing. Oil is fat, and fat enters the blood vessels. This easily leads to hardening and blockages of the blood vessels. But I have observed many phenomena. It is different from other regions. Also, these elderly people, and what I've seen, because there are many, perhaps my view is one-sided. They are still relatively happy. How do they behave? They are more willing to chat and interact, chatting and greeting each other. Those few friends gathered together, drinking tea and chatting. There are many elderly people. I feel like they never really retire. Yes, they keep working. Even at an advanced age, they are still in a small shop. Maybe he is a shop owner, or maybe he's just a participant. There are elderly participants. They won't just lie home and retire. They always find something to do. Imagine you're running a small shop with customers coming and going, right? They come to inquire about products or even negotiate prices. I believe this is beneficial for the health of the elderly, especially for the brain's cognitive health. It definitely helps. Just imagine locking a young person in a cell for a year. I'm sure scientists have conducted this experiment. So I think it wouldn't take long, maybe a year or up to 3 years. And there's no one else in your cell, just you alone. After 1 to 3 years, when you come out, you won't even be able to speak. You will start to feel a kind of fear towards the world. That's how it is. Another change is that you begin talking to yourself. It's just a little crazy, just acting like a lunatic. So these elderly people, if you want them to work at the small shops or at a little store or at a factory, they actually do communicate. Whenever you have to work with your hands, do you also have to use your brain? Yes. Whenever you take actions, you have to think, right? Especially when you work for a boss. You can't make mistakes, right? You can't just do whatever you want. So as long as you start working, earning some kind of salary, you have to be responsible for your boss, right? Therefore, your behavior must align with the work expectations and satisfy your boss. Would you say this requires thinking? Yes, and you also have to use your hands and legs, right? There's a full body effect. So I found that many elderly people just say that. They retire but they don't stop working. That's great. So they are still quite enthusiastic, very warm to others. That shows that they are still emotionally happy. And they are very good at controlling their emotions. Because when you enter their shops, they tell you many stories. They are very hospitable. The elderly here are all very friendly. Now let's go back to talking about their diets. So what diets did you eat when you were there? First of all, he ate a lot of vegetables. For every dish, every meal you order, they will serve a large set of salads or stewed vegetables. It's something they have to do every meal. And they also eat a lot of things like tomatoes, and also quite a lot of onions, then eggplants and carrots. They even drizzle lemon juice on top of that, especially in salads. These vegetables are commonly used. As for leafy greens, they are leafy greens as well. Not only are they eaten raw, but they are also cooked into stew and such. And those dishes are quite delicious too. They are also included in pasta dishes. They all put it in like this. The studies say that the dishes they like to eat have certain benefits. They happen to be good for our cardiovascular health. The research indicates that the vegetables they prefer to eat contains a compound called polyphenols. There is a particularly high amount of polyphenols, and these are highly antioxidant compounds. So right now, medical experts and the media are reporting on the benefits of antioxidants. What are the advantages of antioxidants? First of all, it helps reduce inflammation. Second, they help prevent aging. And third, they especially protect our blood vessels. So the vegetables we eat are inherently very good for cardiovascular and cerebrovascular health. For example, take tomatoes. Inside tomatoes, there's a lycopene. It is an antioxidant properties as well as cholesterol-lowering effects. Onions and garlics contain quercetin, which have introduced to you before. It is also a powerful antioxidant compound. For example, today, when it comes to more scientific dietary research, take onions, for example. You to have a talk about it. The general health benefits of these onions. They are rich in quercetin, as we just mentioned, an antioxidant, and has anti-inflammatory properties. So I remember it was said to help prevent plaques. And Master says that the shape of an onion is like a heart. It is especially good for the heart. It can actually serve two purposes. One is to boost energy, and second is to promote blood circulation. Actually, It also benefits the heart and the brain. Yes, it lowers blood pressure. It helps the blood vessels as well. That's how it works. And in research between the East and West, they actually complement each other. I think onion also help clear the senses, thanks to their polyphenols and their flavor. I'm not sure if it's that, but they do help clear the senses. I'm talking about offense. It helps clear your mind. For example, if you're really tired today and you haven't solved any problem, feeling quite annoyed, but then it's time to get off work and you go home. The trouble from today combined with fatigues and frustration sometimes make you feel like you don't know whether it's in your head or somewhere near your heart. It feels really blocked and uncomfortable, like something's not right. And the workday was unpleasant and you just feel like something clogged up inside. If there is a way to solve it, one method is to go outdoor where the air is fresher and take a walk. That's the first method. Now, the second method is a quick fix, is to add a bit of onion to what you're about to eat in your meal. Just a little extra. And it's better to eat it raw? Yes. If you want to be precise, onions are best eaten raw. The second, less ideal, is to cook them. Many of the beneficial compounds get destroyed that way. Think about it. When you go to a Western restaurant and you order something like a burger, there's always raw onion rings, right? That's true. Our kids will be fooled by that. They coat it with butter and deep fried it. And then fried onion rings. Kids won't eat raw onions, but it still contains onions. However, the most effective and beneficial form is actually eat it raw, which is better. So this is roughly the general ideas about onions. You need to understand this. Besides boosting energy and promoting blood circulations, they also help clear blockages and stimulate the brain. They lower the tree height. I remember we checked this before. If you feel that heaviness or blockage in your chest, just eat some. Have 2 or 3 pieces sliced into rings. That's enough. That should help clear things up. Got it? So whether you're working or at home, feeling really uncomfortable and congested because of these annoying problems, just take 2 or 3 onions. Go to a place with fresh outdoor air. Eat 2 pieces together. But some people say their congestion is more severe. If I eat half an onion, my whole body feels like it's on fire because it has quite a lot of heat. You can't eat too much. It just needs help to clear the passages. After that, just eat your meals and vegetables as usual. Onions aren't great for health maintenance. They are great for health maintenance. And another one is this. You can't go without tomatoes. That's right, tomatoes. They actually have many benefits to the body too. I believe 2 of you know about this. Look at your shirts. They both have the colors of tomatoes. This red colors, according to the Chinese 5 elements theory, primarily nourishes the heart. It is good for the heart and blood circulations. From a scientific perspective, it's rich in vitamin C as well as antioxidants. Yes, both are beneficial. It's actually helped to generate fluids and quench thirst. And it also has some anti-inflammatory effect. It provides energy for many inflammations as well. According to the Chinese 5-element theory, if red is a color, it represents fire, right? It also represents energy. So I highly recommend this food to everyone. It's good to eat a bit more of it, in moderation. You can eat more without worrying about the side effect, because it doesn't cause internal heat. It's not like onions, so it doesn't have many side effects. Yes, it only has positive effects. That's why I quite enjoy eating it. I like it a lot too. I often just pick a large tomato. On one side, use a knife to cut across, cut through the skin, pour hot water over it. The skin will peel off, come off easily with a simple peel. And after that, cut into pieces to eat in a cold dish. Often we eat it plain without adding anything. It is still quite delicious that way. When we were kids, we have even more primitive way of eating. We treat it like it was an apple, so you just eat the tomato by biting into it. I think that's wasteful. The juice drips down your neck. This one is pretty good. Now the next one is eggplant, but I do think stew eggplant is quite good because eggplants really lacks oil. This dish, yes, is absorb oil. If you use 2 medium-sized eggplants and add half a tin of oil, you still don't feel oily. It's especially soak up the oil completely, so you can't eat too much oil. What should you do then? If eating it alone, I recommend steamed eggplants. I love steamed eggplant the most, especially steamed eggplants puree. Cut it into strips and not too big, not too small. You can be large strips and chunks, then steep it in a steamer. I think the heat is strong about 15 minutes. After that, if you have onion or garlic, just mix them. Mince garlic. Then steam eggplants with garlic. It is a famous dish in Chinese. Truly excellent. Eggplant is wonderful ingredient. Yes, if you steam eggplant, it's even better to eat it with skin on because the quercetin is more concentrated in the skin. I recommend a little less next time, just lemon. Lemons, Chinese people rarely use lemon. Yes, if you use it appropriately, you'll find many benefits. When we go to Greece, we also visit the neighboring country, Turkey. So another one is Armenia. We have a local foreign friends in Armenia who shared a remedy with us. He used lemon to treat pain. Whenever your stomach aches, abdominal pain or headache, you use this lemon. After drinking lemon water, it works quickly, within 5 minutes. He adds lemon and mint, which is very refreshing. We have posted this recipe online before. Now let's write it down first, okay? There are people in it. Those who are quick pains, need pain relief, they use an especially effective method. This is the method we haven't thought of before because the locals have a deep understanding and research on lemon. So this method is passed on to everyone. Lemon, because it's citrus family, they have a high vitamin C content, which helps in preventing cold. It also has a great effect on boosting immunity. Then it can help to soften the blood vessels. It is also very good for protecting your cardiovascular and cerebrovascular systems. The key is that it relieves pain. It relieves pain and promotes circulation. For example, if you have a bit of mouth ulcer, squeeze some lemon juice in water. Doesn't it heal quite quickly? Yes, it does. So it is very good supplementary anti-inflammatory effects. I also think it helps to soothe the throat. That's also the esophagus. It helps cleanse and nourish your digestive system. It's very effective. Yes, that's right. This is a very special kind of food. I also recommend to everyone to eat this. Last year, I went to Turkey. The people also eat a certain kind of juice. It's pomegranate juice. That region produces pomegranate and their main fruit. I actually didn't know that before. It can use so much juice. It's true. Because you think there are a lot of seeds inside. But they have a special way of juicing them over there. They really love drinking this juice. This pomegranate juice also contained the antioxidants compound. It's good. Xiangke, you mentioned this. The first characteristic of the Mediterranean diet, there are many vegetables. Many vegetables. Now I want to talk about the second point, which is this oil is good. Before I start, I want to ask the viewer a little question. Just a squeeze. Take a guess. Which cooking oil is known as liquid gold? Okay, let's have our viewers answer in the comments. Actually, the oil is the precious one that chef talked about. The vegetable oil. Many people even carry a small bottle in the pockets. Sometimes they take a cup of it. Sometimes they apply on their hands and face. When we went to Greece, I remember we visited a small street and there was a shop inside. Actually, several shops specializing in selling olive oil. You just gave the answer. Olive oil, right? Okay, this is liquid gold. They really treat it like a treasure. And the people over there every morning and afternoon, at least twice a day, they drink olive oil straight. Yeah, how much do they drink? just a small cup. They drink it down directly. Actually, when we first heard about it, since we don't have this habit, we found it quite unbelievable. Have you ever tried? Yes, I have. What does it taste like? I originally thought it'd be very rich and heavy, but actually it's not that heavy or clogging. So what do you drink it? First, when you open the bottle, it has a very grassy aroma. A grassy aroma? Oh, that's interesting. Like freshly cut grass. The fresh smell of the grass. This is a scent of good oil soaked in a straw, right? So what flavor do you get when you taste it? When you taste it, it's a lightly pungent and spicy taste. A little bit of spiciness. When you swallow it down, your throat is like the aftertaste we get from drinking tea. Yes, exactly. The oil also has a kind of spicy aftertaste. Got it? Because you just mentioned that this kind of taste, so the olive oil is rich in polyphenols. They are substances with strong antioxidant property. That's why it has this grassy, spicy flavor. You are drinking good oil. This was recommended by the shops. They say this is their best one, right? This polyphenol is also what makes olive oils antioxidants. Then the anti-aging benefits include especially good ingredients that protect the heart and brain's blood vessels. I know that besides this in olive oil, the polyphenols are very beneficial components. There is also something called the monosaturated fatty acids. They are fatty acids, which means a type of fat. It is what we refer to as oil. But this oil is a good oil. Why is that? It can reduce the cholesterol inside our blood vessels. The cholesterol inside our blood vessels, which is the fat in the blood vessels. It actually removes the bad fats from the blood vessels, taking away the fat. So it is something we really need. Doesn't this help clear our blood vessels better? That's why it benefits cardiovascular and cerebrovascular health. So olive oil has these two benefits. Do you see olive tree there? Yes, I did see olive trees, especially those next to old buildings. They are olive trees. There are many, right? Yes, there are a lot of olive trees. And also, they have a strong devotion to the goddess Athena. There's a legend about her. Back then, she and the sea god. There was a president, and he had a contest. Then there was a goddess Athena who planted an olive tree and won, because the olive tree brought many benefits to the Greeks, not just for their diets, but also olive wood could be used to make all kinds of furniture. So first, the olive trees and their branches symbolizes peace. We all know this. What's the lifespan of this tree? I heard it can live for thousands of years, especially long-lived. There are trees that are thousands of years old. Master, the ones I've heard in China are ginkgo trees. They can live for thousands of years. Master, have you seen such ancient olive trees over there? I don't know how old it is, but I think it's very old, because its original trunk seems to have died. A new branch have grown out from the side of the main trunk. How thick is it? It's even thicker than our big water jar. Thicker than the big water jar. It must have been at least 1,000 years old then. According to the people, some elders said it could possibly be 2,000 or 3,000 years old. That's wonderful, Master. What does the trunk of that tree look like? Is it smooth and straight? Not very smooth. It's a little bit like cypress tree. It grows with some twists and turns. What you see in the picture is just part of the roots. It's exposed. It doesn't count. The trunk itself doesn't grow straight, like pine tree. It grows straight, right? Yes, exactly. So when it's saw the wood, it shows straight grained line. This wood also has beautiful grain patterns, but they grow in a slightly twisted way. The locals, in order to make souvenirs for everyone, want to turn to something like this: a cooking spatula and a small chopping board. The wood grain is really beautiful. And this keychain, what is it exactly? Their local areas is known for producing olive trees. They don't use the oil from them. They also make many beautiful pieces of furniture from the wood. I remember when we were coming from the airport on the route to Athens city, there were rows and rows of olive trees. It is said in the Mediterranean region, the climate is especially suitable for the growth of olive tree. About 95% of the world's olive trees grow in this region. At that time, we were in Athens, from the airport to Athens all the way to the city and a hotel. So the tree scenes outside the city were all this type of tree. That's great. Just now, Xiangke, you said the locals have a sip of oil in the morning, right? You mentioned that there's a famous study published in the medical journal, The Lancet. The research states that drinking 1.5 teaspoons of this oil every day, which is about 10 milliliters of olive oil, reduces the risk of dementia by 28%. This is very significant. This makes me wonder if the oil actually goes straight to the brain, making the brain more agile. It's like directly fueling the brains with good oil. The ingredients inside it are especially beneficial for the cardiovascular system. The master really said it goes to the brain. Don't we always say to keep the brain sharp, you need to eat some oil? But in the past in China, you had to eat fatty meat. It's that brain, but that wasn't healthy. I don't quite understand, but I remember a few years ago I met someone in Taiwan. Before eating, he would take a large amount of these nourishing health supplements. He said one of them looks very shiny, like a bread-shaped small ball, transparent capsule. He said, look at this beautiful one. I said, what is it? It's called deep sea fish oil. So what are the benefits of deep sea fish oil? If I remember correctly, it is said to possibly help with Alzheimer's disease, possibly. The ingredients inside, like omega-3, omega-9, are also found in olive oil. These are what we call unsaturated fatty acids. I think among vegetarian options, olive oil would be a better choice. It just doesn't carry as much risk. That brings us to this point. Earlier, the teachers mentioned monosaturated fats that help to remove the bad fats from the body. They carry them out. But nowadays, in many of our diets, including those like eating pizza and those enjoying fries and even cakes and cream, they are all saturated fat. So this bad fats accumulate in our blood vessels, blocking them. It forms blood clots, fatty deposits, and so on, which is harmful. But good fats, like olive oil, actually helps remove the bad fats, clearing the blood vessels. So you need to choose the right oils to eat. This is olive oil. So that's just wrapped up here. My online friends have been saying that they should be using olive oil. We'll finish watching the live stream soon and then go buy some olive oil, right? Let's talk about some tips for buying olive oil. Okay, there are some guidelines. So olive oil is extracted from the fruits of olive, especially from the flesh. That's how it comes about. It is not pressed from the nuts, not from the pit. It is pressed from the flesh. The flesh is extractions from the flesh. And how is it extracted? The pressing involves many steps. Once the olive is picked, within 24 hours, it processed at low room temperature, below 27 degrees Celsius. That's kind of low temperature. It cold pressed at low temperature. That's how it's extracted. The first pressing is the best of all. The first pressing contains the highest nutritional value. It is called extra virgin olive oil. It has the highest nutritional content. The nutrients we mentioned earlier, like the polyphenols that give a fresh, spicy, grassy flavor, which act as antioxidants and slow down aging. And also the unsaturated fatty acids we talked about earlier. It's the compositions of good oil. In other words, it's very good. We want our online friends to understand this. This kind of extra virgin olive oil is the healthiest. So when I go to buy olive oil, how do I choose a good one? We need to look at the label that says EVO. What does that mean? It means extra virgin olive oil. So it's just a few words. Must include extra virgin together. Why is it? Because you press the first cold press, you press the second time, and the second press is no longer the E. So that word E is gone and is still called virgin olive oil. But its nutritional content is much lower in every aspect. After the second pressing, it can be pressed again and refined, and it can be refined to extract oil. But that one is even worse. So all the good components are gone. And it's almost nothing left. The name you're talking about from the perspective of an average consumer. If you say the same oil called first press, another called refine, people might think refine is better, but it's actually the opposite. For example, the refined one costs 10 yuan a bottle. The extra virgin one is still extra virgin but not refined, is 60 yuan a bottle. This isn't fair. In the end, everybody just said, I'll go for the cheaper one. The refined one. So after watching today's live stream, we finally understand we should buy the extra virgin one. I was fooled when I bought it before. We used to think that refined oil was the best, but actually refined isn't good because it uses chemical and high heat. It evaporates all the good nutrients. When you refine the oil, the most valuable components becomes very scarce, and you are basically left with just the oil. So once we buy extra virgin, exactly, you should buy the kind of extra virgin olive oil. So when it says pure olive oil, it just means pure olive oil. It doesn't say extra virgin. Then it's not truly the cold pressed one. Everyone needs to remember this. You should take photos. Don't rely on your memory. Take pictures. When you look at the Chinese forwards, special grades, first press, olive, and oil, the English version also have 4 words. That's E, V, O, and O. You must have all 4 words for it to be genuine. So I was saying, I used to really like the pasta, the one drizzled with olive oil. But I found that the one we buy at home tastes pretty bland anyway. I used to think that bland was better, and that the spicy kind wasn't good. So this time, when I went to Greece and tried the extra virgin olive oil, it was the first time I realized olive oil can have a spicy flavor. We only understood when we finally got there. When I bought oil, I was trying to save money and got a 4-in-1 blend. Rapeseed, corn oil, and some other oil. I don't know about it. Peanut oil and olive oil are mixed together. The 4 kings of oil pressing. This must be better, right? So this is called salad oil, and it's the same salad oil we used to eat before. It's just all mixed together. It feels like the more I eat, the more I get. Well, after listening to the live broadcast, I finally understand. It's quite important. Master, it seems you have to go to the Mediterranean in the future. You can dig up more treasures for us, and then tell everyone. Actually, we learn a lot there. That's right. So everyone must watch our programs about the Mediterranean regions. They're really interesting. Alright, let's continue. So we will be buying oil, right? Xiangke, let me quiz you. What kind of olive oil should you buy? Extra virgin olive oil? Exactly right. Don't buy refined oil. So if I buy this oil, how should I use it? Because it's extracted at lower temperature, it's more sensitive to high heat. What happens if it's exposed to high heat? If it's high heat, you see, many Chinese people stir-fry their food, right? First, wash the pan clean, empty pan, and dry, add the oil. Add the oil until it's almost smoking, then start cooking. Don't let it smoke. Master, if it starts smoking, that means all the nutrients turn into smoke, escaping and evaporating away. Because it causes cold press and its smoke point is relatively low. It's just a bit over 100 degrees Celsius. But normally, for example, when we fry an egg, or when the pan isn't heated too high, just dry heat, which is about 70-80, you add the oil and quickly stir fry the chopped onion. It's fine, no problem. Just don't heat it too much. Don't wait until it starts smoking. No smoking, no deep frying, continuous high heat frying with the oil bubbling and boiling. Then you shouldn't use olive oil. A bit of a waste. Actually, they also say it's not that it won't work, it's just that you are buying something so expensive. $60, and that's quite pricey. Let me ask a question. If that's the case, like mix a salad, I could just eat this olive oil, pour into the raw and mix it around, right? That would work, wouldn't it? The better ones are more fragrant, as you can see from theirs. Take a dip of a raw in the morning. Not all raw ones are drinkable. Can't you just drizzle some onto your salad? So using it on salads is very suitable, like adding sesame oil. In China, we make whole dishes. A little sesame oil is added in the end. Also, when making soup in China, a little oil is added at the end as well. At that time, add a little extra virgin oil, olive oil, which is also very suitable, very flavorful, because the soup is around 700 degrees Celsius, right? So that's no problem. Also stir fry. Well, not exactly stir fry, just not using very high heat for the stir fry. That works too. Stew dishes are also fine, and dipping bread as well. Over there, they just dip it raw and eat it like that. When you go to this restaurant to eat, he first bought a small dish of oil. At the time, we really didn't understand what it meant. Then he brought a plate of bread. Seeing that we didn't get it, he said, "You can dip the bread in the oil and eat it. Is it tasty or not? It's delicious." But first, I don't understand. I wonder how big his stomach might have been to eat so much. I was a bit worried. I was really worried about this at first, but in the end, after I went, I didn't notice my belly getting bigger. On the contrary, I was even healthier. I don't know, because at that time we didn't go scientific assessment on myself, a scientific evaluation for myself. Local use it not only for cooking, they actually apply on their face. That's right. I don't know if women apply it. Anyway, the old men all apply it. Yes, the old man all applied it. He's afraid of wasting the oil on his hands, and he wiped off with the cloth, right? He rubbed it and spread on his face. No waste. That's right. It actually protects the skin. You want your brain to get smarter and your skin to get smarter too. That's no small matter. It contains vitamin E inside, which is also very good for the skin. And there's one thing I really admire about Xiangke. She did an in-depth studies on vitamins. She even knows about vitamin K. So next time we buy vitamins wholesale, let's go to Xiangke. Master, I have a question. Besides the olive oil, I've seen in supermarkets before, like those olive pickled until they are black, like pickled vegetables, especially the so-called Italian-style pickled olives. Are they any good? You asked me if it's good. I think as far as pickled goes, it's okay. I had the saltiest one and the less salty one. I've tried them all. Anyway, it's about learning the food culture of the world. Also, when you go to Western restaurant, they'll serve a small dish of these pickled olives to go with the meal. Locally, as you've seen, they also eat these pickled olives. They even put them in their salads. That's how it is. Then I believe it must be good. This is a tradition passed down through generations. We can eat pickled olive every day. They even give you a small plate for free. As I mentioned earlier, the flesh inside the olive is rich in certain nutrients. One of them is polyphenols. The other is unsaturated fatty acids. After picking, the polyphenols developed a spicy flavor. It might have just evaporated and disappeared, but it still contains unsaturated fatty acids, right? In other words, it still has its nutritional components. Of course, we shouldn't eat it too salty. Eating too salty isn't good either. Anyway, olive oil is the best, right? Next, we pick other preparations. The flavor of picking is just another. There's nothing particularly special about the taste. It's ordinary. Alright, now our viewers all know, whether it's our Western viewers or others, it's still mainly Asians. especially Chinese, our online friends. Actually, olive oil is very suitable for our 3 daily meals. It's easy to accept. It doesn't have a strong or distinctive flavor. It's not like the aroma of stir-fried peanuts or the fragrance of stir-fried sesame seeds. It doesn't have that kind of aroma. But it is such a genuine health treasure. Yes, it's really good. Alright, we've learned all about the characteristic. We mentioned eat more vegetable. The second point is to use good oil. Olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, got it? Remember this name. Now, we go to the third characteristic. Actually, when we went there, they eat it as a staple food. The staple food are mostly whole grains. They rarely eat, for example, plain white rice. Refined white rice and grains like that. They are, for example, paired with your meal. They will give you a small bowl mixed with barley rice or something it contains quinoa, that is, or black bread, like a dark flat bread, where we eat the most. Actually, it's barley rice. They don't just cook it plainly for you. A big bowl of barley like that. They might mix it, say example, with tomato sauce or add a bit of chickpeas. Speaking of chickpeas, didn't we just mention them? They eat a lot of grains, and very much so. The chickpeas are something they especially love. They have a dish called the hummus, which is mashed chickpeas. Basically, the main ingredients is mostly chickpeas. They also have olive oil drizzled on top. He ate a lot of this. Isn't it especially fragrant? It's incredibly fragrant and delicious. I tend to eat too much of this because it's so flavorful and it's authentic one. The Mediterranean restaurants serve this, the chickpea dips, with generous drizzle of olive oil inside. Yes, let's eat it together. This is an authentic restaurant. After that, they give you a small basket of bread. You dip the dry bread into the sauce to eat. Dip and eat it. At first, I didn't really understand dipping the sauce and adding so much oil. Now I really realize they do it because it cares about us. In fact, it's actually healthy. And over there, they especially love drinking a kind of bean soup. It's called lentil soup. Actually, it's a bit green, isn't it? It smells really good. So, this is a great source of plant-based protein. Yes, very good. And that bean cake called falafel, and those bean balls, right? Yes, those balls made from mashed beans. Fried, right? Yes, exactly. The main ingredients is just chickpeas. There are also some grains and bean mixed in. There's a dietary specialties on their regions. And although they eat a lot of meat, they also consume a lot of whole grains and legumes. With the whole grains, they are healthy. And as you mentioned over there, Master also said that the people eat the meal slowly, right? Do you have any Mediterranean fast food over there? They do have fast food, but in most of the restaurants, if you go to the traditional ones, the kind that they provide table service, you usually have to sit down, and it's like family gathering or friends sitting around in a circle, eating and chatting. They are like authentic local Mediterranean places. You can say they do have fast food too. For example, they might have a cooked dish ready and serve it to you with a bowl of rice. For cooked dishes like stew, they have a stew that's very delicious. I forget the name, but Jianke, do you remember, right? What is it? Province stew? That's from France. It's all about mixed vegetables. It's so suitable for elderly people. Even those with poor teeth can eat it. It's soft but very flavorful. You want the dish he has already stewed. He served you a bowl of rice on the side. He added 2 spoonfuls of the dish, and then you can eat. It's also his fast food. It is fast food, but this is how they count fast food. Normally, you sit down with your family and friends to eat. You eat slowly. You have to wait. So we just have to wait, right? Yes, the dishes are slow to come out, not very fast. He was worried you'd be hungry, so he brought this out first. Just now, he mentioned the chickpea dips. Here's some bread. You can start with it to fill your stomach. It's like that. And he's very particular about it. For example, if you have a group of 10 people eating together, he will prepare all 10 people's dishes first, then serve them all at once. It doesn't serve food like your Asian restaurant do, which dishes serve one by one. They just bring everything all at once, so you can eat and chat at the same time, because they see dining is like a relaxed social activities. They don't like to change it. Actually, many families of restaurants, including local families, when they eat, they want the atmosphere to be relaxed. A relaxed and joyful environment like this. So we eat slowly and chat slowly, talking about happy topics. This is actually quite nice. Their social life is very healthy. It's about communications between people, not like now where people interact more with their phone. This happened last year. I remember Master also say that over there are many bookstores and lots of cafes. This is Greece. Greeks especially love reading. It is also possible that we stay in a different neighborhood. When we went there, we stayed in this older street. The houses there are on average over 70 years old. Sometimes only 2 people stand in the elevator. When you ride the elevator now, have you ever touched the wall inside the elevator? If you touch it, that's the actual building wall. What you are touching is the elevator metal wall, right? We could actually feel the wall moving as the elevator travels. Wouldn't this cause it to break? It's moving. You can touch it with your hands. It's constantly going up and down. I don't even know what era this elevator is from. The elevator itself doesn't have walls, basically. I suspect it's an elevator from the 1930s. It's like a small room, moving inside the shaft. When you open the door, you have to close it yourself. Then, when you press a button, it just goes straight up. I've seen this before in old movies. There's no electronic display screen either. What floor we are on? I don't know. We just guess and push the door to check. It's not right. Close the door and go up again. It often happens like this. It's actually quite interesting. There are many of the earlier, more developed countries, and later on, you see many of the so-called developing countries that came afterwards. They use one method to accelerate themselves quite quickly, renovating houses and transforming cities. They build new houses on top of old ones. Old roads are replaced with wide, spacious avenues. Their country hasn't taken such actions, or has done so very little. So these old houses remain very old, and people still live in these old homes. But they especially love socializing and chatting. In fact, this cafe, whether cafe or small pubs, and the little bookstores are all located right next to each other. You borrow a book from a bookstore, and after that, you go to a cafe or a bar, and you sit there. The alcohol there isn't very strong. It's all mixed and blended. They give it some fancy name, right? They add an egg, some fruits, a bit of water, pour a couple of drops of liquor, give it a nice name, and you think it's fun. You just sit there for half a day or even 2 days. As soon as evening comes and work it over, many young people gather together just to chat. You see, the young people are still sitting there, drinking alcohol, tea, or coffee. They really enjoy socializing. I also saw a study, an American study, that says that people in the Mediterranean region have longevities for a very important reason: their social life. Because they chat, just chatting about troubles at home, at work. He talks with friends or old neighbors. He vents and expresses what's on his mind. He doesn't keep it bottled up inside. So his mood feels very relaxed. That's why the master says over there, you can see the elderly are very warm and greet each other. Their sense of happiness and joy is noticeably higher. This aspect is also very important. I have a friend, anyway, besides their diet, Greeks are quite good in other ways. One of them is that they read a lot. I think this is wisdom. They read and understand principle and explain them. So once you understand the principle, certain knots in your heart are untied. You see, it's really great. Actually, many books contain principle. So when you tell stories, they contain underlying principle. And there are many philosophy books as well. One of the most famous products from Greece is its philosophers. Besides olive oil, as mentioned in the previous episodes where Master introduced, there are three great fathers of Greek philosophy. The fathers of world philosophy all come from Athens, Greece. So having a social life actually adds a lot of health and happiness. Yes, very important. Yes, and paired with the right diet. It's truly wonderful. Let's summarize this again. The Mediterranean diet. Alright, first, eat plenty of vegetables. Second, consume oil, good oil. Third, eat grains and cereal. And fourth, socializing and eating slowly. Eating slowly, yes, this kind of lifestyles that bring joy to both body and mind. Speaking of the Mediterranean diet, I remember Master previously said they recommend a home remedy called the 8 Immortals bean paste, and it contains many ingredients that perfectly align with Mediterranean diets. Let's take a look at the short video and how to make this. So the bean paste is especially delicious. Prepare a blender and add 200 grams of chickpeas, 50 ml of olive oil, 10 ml of lemon juice, 1 clove of garlic, and 5 grams of turmeric powder, 50 milligrams of water, and 60 grams of plain yogurt. Add a pinch of salt and some black pepper. Blend all together and then add 6 crushed macadamia nuts to the bean paste. This is ready and it can for 2 to 4 people. So it's easy to make this incredible flavor, right? So I remember that Master used to give us a health boosting salad called a slimming salad, also known as a 5-color salad. It also packed with antioxidants and very beneficial. And these fruits and vegetables are placed together. We also have take a look at this recipe. It's very healthy. Eat more vegetables and good oil is very beneficial. This is so this movie it represents the Mediterranean diet. It's very easy for us to make. Let's do it together.
洋葱切丁，大蒜切成末。锅中倒入初榨橄榄油，中火加热。先放入洋葱和蒜末，炒香至微微金黄。接着放入西红柿块，炒至软烂，出汁。然后放入剩下的蔬菜。炖煮前也可加一点番茄酱，使味道更浓郁。盖上锅盖，转小火慢炖20到30分钟，让蔬菜自然出汁。
So after you add all the ingredients, reduce, put to pot to stew, and then reduce to low heat and simmer for 20-30 minutes. Let the vegetables release their natural juice, and finally uncover the pot to reduce the sauce. And then add salt and black pepper to seasons, and sprinkle basil leaves for fragrance before serving. This is a healthy and delicious stew is now ready. Teacher, I think this stew is actually resembles the stew we make in Chinese cuisine. I think the main thing is that the ingredients, and we all have them, like onions, like tomatoes, eggplants. This Italian sponge, we call it zucchini, is excellent. Drizzle a little olive oil on top. You have to use extra virgin olive oil. Yes, I especially want to remind our friends that some key ingredients in this dish are absolutely essential. For example, tomatoes, onions, and eggplants. And zucchini is the same as well as lemon. Actually, I think that they are still eating vegetables over there. A very common ingredient is carrots. Carrots are also very good. Carrots are good for the eyes. Yes, you really study it thoroughly. It's actually very beneficial and comprehensive way. You need to remember to use more of these few vegetables. So for this dish, we put all these good ingredients together and stew them. then absorb all the benefits together. This is really a great dish. I encourage everyone to try making it. Tonight, I'm going to start cooking it myself. I want to as well to make this stew. It is actually quite easy. We just take this wonderful Mediterranean-style diet and incorporate it into our daily lives. It's very easy. Now, as Master mentioned at the beginning, cardiovascular diseases are so common, and their impact is so severe. So, in our daily lives, we can use this kind of health-preserving diet to prevent and elevate them. Especially, I want to remind all the young friends with unique personalities. If you want to be healthy and have a good figure, first and foremost, you need to be healthy and have a good figure. Don't just say you only want a good figure. Many people pursue a good figure but lost their health in the process. This is the scariest thing. You seem to have many world-class models. They developed anorexia, right? Yes, her coach wouldn't allow her to eat for a long time. Whenever she ate something, it would make a big fuss. The coach kept saying, "You need to lose weight," right? But maybe they didn't take your health into considerations. Because of this, many young female models end up wanting to eat but not being allowed to. Eventually, it becomes a new habit. They neither eat nor want to eat. So this anorexic vomiting so soon as you start eating. Eventually, it develops a new type of nervous anorexia. This is extremely unhealthy. The body becomes nothing but skin and bones. It looks quite ugly. Moreover, anorexia is also a mental health issue. It elevates to the realms of the mind. That's right. Both body and minds are unhealthy. So through this, we, the Mediterranean diet, on the contrary, incorporate a variety of food in an organic and reasonable way, making it very balanced. We are not insisting that you must eat meat, nor are we insisting that you must be vegetarian. Yet, today we want to share with you the places we have visited to have such wonderful traditions, which perfectly correspond to today. The biggest killer the disease is cardiovascular and cerebrovascular problems. You see, in the past year, about 50 people or more have written to me and seek help because they developed this kind of disease. Some of them suffered strokes and became paralyzed on one side. Others had cerebral hemorrhage, and some collapsed on the spot, while others passed away within a few hours. Some others, still lying in the hospital over 10 days, then passed away. In some countries, they still pursue aggressive treatment, so this method doesn't work. That method doesn't work, and after 3 months of trying, the person still passed away. For example, there was an online friend who wrote to me. He said the father had developed facial paralysis, a stroke. His body could no longer function normally, unable to do anything. He could only lie down. When he asked me for help, I told him to give up. I said, "Don't continue the treatment." As a devoted son, he was actually quite a good person. A filial son would inquire on lines of various hospitals. Either way, his father was put through a lot of trouble. Although this medical journey of explorations definitely come at a cost to us, and this father too became a test subject in a medical treatment, treated with different methods, but still passed away after 3 months. That's how it is. So this disease is very severe. It comes silently and without warning. Therefore, we have to travel through Greece and the Mediterranean region, where there happens to be a very scientific dietary approach. This has been studied by many experts and research institutions worldwide, recommended and studied. That's why we're introducing this part to everyone. Wonderful, very grateful to Master. This way, we can really nourish our cardiovascular system. So I especially recommend to our young friends if you want to have good figure, slim and healthy, you need to have a balanced diet. You can't just say, look at many young people today, many college students, they only eat instant noodles. No matter how good the instant noodles claim to be, white chicken soup instant noodles, beef instant noodles, or mushroom instant noodles, actually there's nothing in them. It's just the seasoning packets and additives. Fried noodles with a pack of additives, those other names you mentioned, you have to add them yourself. Otherwise, there's nothing. Eating this every day, do you too think it's healthy? Not healthy. Then what exactly are you eating? Just carbohydrates plus some preservatives. It's just that the flour products contains chemical additives, right? Yes, they definitely harm your body. They only temporarily fuel your stomach. And they are flavored to be very appetizing. This aroma attracts you to buy them. It even makes you addicted to eating them, right? Last time, I ate Lao Zhang's brand fried noodles. Next time, I'll definitely buy it again. There must be a reason. I have no idea what exactly is mixed into their flour, even if nothing is mixed in and it's just pure noodles. Eating dry noodles every day is no good. You have no vegetables, no basic fiber, without the vitamins you mentioned, it's not acceptable. Also, a lot of oil in these instant noodles could be unhealthy oil. Some are even blended with industrial oil. That's done to make them last longer, without spoiling. That's why many instant noodles can sit for 10 years, just like that. So it goes against the concept of food shelf life. So I don't agree to that. Any unhealthy way of eating can lead to other health problems. So after studying the Mediterranean diet, so I feel a bit ascetic. I really want to recommend that to our friends. This kind of diet, this comprehensive and healthy way of eating, is definitely worth recommending, right? It's excellent. So for friends who want to lose weight, you shouldn't eat too much combined with proper exercise and drinking different kind of teas appropriately, especially the Bodhi pura tea. It greatly benefits your weight loss and detoxifications, offering many advantages. So you need to consider it comprehensively. To be healthy and beautiful, this is what I want to convey. Grateful to Master. We'll try it once we get back. Incorporate the Mediterranean diet into our daily lives. Alright, that's all for today. Wishing everyone happiness in body and mind. Received. Wishing you happiness and good health. Received. Wishing you a long life. Received. See you in our next live stream. Thank you, Master.
小小的红点里，人生就此欢喜。我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了。在茫茫人海之中，让我与你相遇。小小的红点里，人生变得神奇。我智慧了，我宽容了。